Hey everybody, welcome back to Shoop Shop. I'm on the CTS-V. I got this the tank in for the ice. I did insulate it. This is from Dedicated Motorsports. Um, I did insulate it. It's 7.8 gallons. I insulated it because I plan on doing a chiller on this car down the road. So this will just help keep it the reserve cooler back here than, because the muffler is right under the trunk, so there is a little bit of heat involved underneath. So it's double insulated, and this comes with a CWA 200 pump. It pumps out some massive water. I mean, if I open this up, I think right now I got 6 gallons in the tank, but if I turn it on, the water comes out so fast it'll splash out the top. So I just prefer leave the cap on for now. So as far as wiring, you got one straight to the positive, I got one straight to the negative, and the infamous green wire that a lot of people talk about. That now it might be a different color on a different car, I don't know. It could be located in that same spot, not sure. This is a 2015, but that green wire there is hot when the key is on. So that orange wire is the trigger wire for the pump. I checked the amps on that orange wire, and that orange wire, it's not even registering on the fluke as far as load. So I'm not worried about that, but that's where I'm getting my key power. Now, if you have something that you're going to run that uses a higher load, you can still tap that wire, but you're going to have to use that with a relay and just use that green wire to energize it. What I am going to do is, I'm waiting for it to come Amazon, but I got a 3-way switch coming, and then this wire I'm going to splice that 3-way switch into. What it's going to be is, on position number 1, the pump will get power from the green wire, which will be key on only. The middle position is off, and position number 2, I'm going to have a feed coming from the battery, and that will power the pump on with the engine or key off. So I can, if I want to circulate this water without turning the key or anything like that, I'll just put it on 2, and that pump will just turn on with nothing else on, so you can run it through the system without running the car. Or you could have it off if you don't want it running right away and you want it the tank to sit with the ice in it if you want to move it. And then, like I said, 1 for normal driving. So as luck would have it, trusty Amazon dropped off my switches. It came in a pack of 5, but so it's the 3-way switch. So the middle position's off, and position 1, power is going to come out of. Now you can use this either way. I'm using it from the outside to going in. So when the rocker switch is on 1, power flow is through the middle one and this one on this side, and on number 2 it's middle one and the other side. So what I have is the middle wire coming out of the center is going to the pump relay, and the outer one is going to the normal position, and the other one is going to the battery position. So I can either have the pump off with the engine on, the pump on with the engine on when I turn the key, or engine off and the pump on. So I have some options without having to do anything. And I mounted it right there. So right now it's in normal position. I don't know if this is going to make a mess or not. And just click it down. It takes a second and the pump will start. It's a lot less messier when it's full. So with the 3/4 hoses and everything, I think it's just perfectly fine as far as the floor goes. Now up here in the front, I colored them. Red is, quote, hot, and the blue is the coming from the ice tank. So on this Maggie, I have the blue going into the bottom of the blower, and it comes out the top, and then from the top it goes through the stock. I tapped in right here. It's coming out, going to the heat exchanger, and then back to the tank in the back. So it goes tank, blower, heat exchanger, and then back to the tank. I'm just going to run it this way because I don't think there's going to be that big of a difference not running it through the intercooler before the blower, even for the street. I just don't see it being a problem. So if it is, I'll change it, but I don't see how it's going to affect it. So I did have to eliminate the stock pump that's down below, which was a CWA 100, so it wasn't necessarily stock. So the floor has 2 stock plastic plugs. And what I ended up doing is just drilling the plastic plugs out and leaving the edges there. So that's the cold line, which I got wrapped with this heat wrap. And then there is the return right there going in. And then there is another one there you see with the rubber grommet. That goes to this Tygon tubing, and that's just the drain. From there, I got to come in right up through here. It's going to run right next to the wheel inside there. See, it comes through here behind the shock. That part does not move. And I got the hoses running through the ground effects, where they come out right here, and they go right up into the hole here. And there is another hole that comes out into the engine compartment where you saw those earlier. And that smaller hose right there, that is coming from the catch can. That's a drain I put on there. I'm going to put a valve on this so that I can just drain it from down here when I do an oil change or whatever. Okay, so this is where the stock pump goes. I got to get some worm gear clamps because the other clamps I had the stock spring ones, they don't slide over. But this is coming out of the heat exchanger, and now this is going to go back to the tank. But yeah, this is where the pump was. I had a CWA 100. It was working fine. Like, the whole setup was working perfectly fine driving down the road or in a regular road situation. But when you're sitting in the staging lanes, it wasn't. I had this clamped off. This is clamped off. So I lost very minimal coolant. I know I'm going to be filling this thing with water. I'm probably going to seal this up with tape because I'm not going to be using it. But I'm just going to loosen that up. I might have some 2 clamps laying around, but that does it for this part. And really all that's left plumbing wise is connecting the top. Up in here, that is where the stock pump used to be. I just put that insulation on it because I didn't want the metal clamp tapping on that making noises, but that's where the pump used to be. There is the pump right there that I had in it. So all in all, this whole reason for doing this is just because, like I said, at the track, the only issue with it is all of standard, all of these hoses, the heat exchanger, everything is by stuff that's hot. And when you're sitting in the staging lanes, all of this basically gets to whatever the temperature it's sitting on top of, let alone the blower that holds all that coolant in it. So it just heat soaks. So the only way it will cool off is if you drove it down the road and got it through the heat exchanger. So on the street, 100% this setup runs 20 above ambient, maybe 25, and it recovers super fast. But you know, that's just for the street. I don't see it being a problem with, probably with the hoses and heat exchanger, intercooler, and the tank. It's probably gonna hold like 10 gallons of liquid. So yes, it would take a long time to cool it, but I don't think it's gonna get hot that fast. And I just think it's just not gonna affect my regular street driving. It's not like I'm racing it when I take it out all the time. So, but the ice is gonna do wonders at the track. I can just fill it up and just run it through the system right before I go line up, and then we do 8th mile, so it's not like I'm gonna lose it all. It'll be just as, you know, cold the whole time. So with that, and if I do the inner chiller, I won't have to do the ice, and I can just cool it down. If I do the inner chiller, I may either put valves on the intercooler or eliminate it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm gonna do some testing with and without it. I pretty much, they say to not use it because the inner chiller works so good that it's kind of defeating the purpose. So well, I don't know, we'll see on that. That's next season. So yeah, if please subscribe. We're doing pretty good here on this channel. I'm trying to get my numbers up a little bit. I got a winch going on that TRX, and the Sea-Doo, I'm gonna be putting an intercooler on this. I don't know what I'm putting intercoolers on everything, or cooling systems on all the superchargers, because that thing's supercharged too. So until next time, we'll catch you later.